This podcast is brought to you by the School of Advanced Study, University of London.
A few very rapid thoughts on legal and judicial legacies following what we've been hearing today. We've been on an extraordinary journey, I think, both in time from 1215 and, of course, for place, being the Commonwealth, everywhere. But there must be so many very different legacies, both positive and negative. I think inevitably and rightly we've been concentrating a little on the positives, and there are many other positives that we haven't really touched on. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think some context is needed, and a few cautionary thoughts would help us perhaps avoid complacency when we go away. Igor Judge underlined the great underlying legacy in the development of the rule of law from 1215, or was it 1216 or 1217 with the Magna Carta, and all that led from that. And he talked of the centrality of that settlement in the development of the Constitution of the United States. And so that means that tactfully I can look outside the Commonwealth for what is perhaps the most glaring example of a negative context to these legacies. How can it be, I ask myself, that a common law country, a democracy with an independent bar, a constitution founded on the Great Charter and the rule of law, that such a country has been able to tolerate, and for so long, Guantanamo Bay? That is outside the Commonwealth. There are other less egregious examples within the Commonwealth. We all know of them, and we can't ignore them. And yet every one of the countries so involved would be able to boast somewhere in their constitutional provisions basic human rights. It was an American judge who spoke of those provisions as being, I think, Delphic words written on opaque surfaces, and perhaps there's rather too much of that. On a different scale, Tim Workman warned us of the perils of funding issues and of administrative criminal disposals in the UK. Doubtless that sort of thing is happening elsewhere too. I'd have my own concerns about the huge increases seen in all jurisdictions, including this one, of court fees and civil actions. We heard of the grim legacy, particularly in the area of sex offences, of the laws on sexual offences in different parts of the Commonwealth as well. We heard, on the other hand, very positive accounts of legal developments from the Caribbean, from Hong Kong, from Lesotho, and when we found it, from Swaziland. And particularly New Zealand. I was very interested in the development of concepts of aboriginality and the contributions we've had from that country to concepts of restorative justice, which I've been working on personally recently. To this general picture, I want to add what we've been hearing, and particularly with the last speakers, of the healthy development of the common law across different countries, with cases increasingly quoted, and indeed, I'd add, judges appointed and lawyers practicing across so many different jurisdictions. And there's the huge efforts that John Hatcher touched upon to address that, a special scourge, corruption within legal systems, a battle that will always have to be fought. For my own part, I was particularly taken by Professor Twining's chums. I'm looking forward to reading more about them and being reminded by Professor Twining of the possible, I say possible, provinciality of our approach to human rights in the West. What I hope is clear from what all we've heard today, and certainly from my own experience, is that in fact in every day in so many Commonwealth countries, every Commonwealth country, independent judges are going about their business, deciding cases, in criminal cases and civil cases, in accordance with the law, usually with assistance from an independent bar, and generally, not always, with a professional, if underpaid, executive, to the great benefit of the people they serve and the economy of their country. And that's a huge legacy for which I think there should be some pride. Now, I understand that this is the 6th such conference. Igor George briefly mentioned legacies of the European empires, and I'm reminded too that Simon de Montfort had land in Burgundy and the Languedoc, and the French only left in 1217. We could answer your question, sir, if perhaps the next conference could be a joint one with the French, and we could hold it perhaps in Bordeaux or Saumur, and we could discuss the comparative legacies of the French Empire and the British Empire. But that's no reflection, of course, on the quality of London University's sandwiches, which are excellent. Thank you very much indeed.